Hello again, happy 4th of July. This is Brian Jennings here. I know no one watches these, hopefully someone will soon. Which is to say, no one's looking forward to it. This is me processing my relationship with Quentin Tarantino, the movie critic. I'm the reason he canceled the movie critic. Right? We've been in a dangerous, clairvoyant siege for, of course, sincere 2 months. But, big picture, maybe 15 months, 2 years. And, right, it's come to define our whole lives, for sure. There is no, right, as far as memories are concerned. And he can always lie, right? He can always lie, right? And I have these 130,000 words, right, that I've written about it. Which is still, right, for all its lacking in brevity, represents 60% of what's occurred. There's another 40% that continues, right, with each passing day, continues to develop with each passing day. Right? That the book ends in February, essentially. Just a story. So if you recall, right, I read some of the book, we talk about it, right? I sing a song, I'll have to take a journey back like I did yesterday. As far as what I was doing today, I have this image here I have dubbed Ezekiel's wheel. I don't know that, wheels within wheels and the wheels had eyes, something like that. Since no one ever made it but me, I suppose I name it accordingly. Right? But I'm turning this into an oil painting. It's in the other room, drying now. I did Aleph and Bet. And then I'm an amateur, I kept smearing the paint with my monkey wrist. So I got through the 2 and I said, okay, I'll wait. And now I'm just going to do 1 letter each day. As it dries. As long as I don't paint it too thick, it'll be largely dry. But that's exciting. I'll have all the vowel sounds and the phonetic spelling. And I'm doing that in a series of 3. There's 3 paintings, right? 1 for Greek, right? 1 for archaic English. Right? I couldn't use ancient English because they have 23 letters. There's no way to divide the circle into 23. That's not... It would be an accident if it occurred. There's no tangible methods of construction. And so everything that you see moving forward, drafting compass, straight edge, right? No cheating, right? Okay. Shall we continue? On time. Growing up in the Bible Belt, I was constantly shrouded by forest, trees everywhere corrupting the horizon. As a result, the bandwidth of celestial resonance is constricted. The sun is only ever visible, most places when highest in the sky, 10 to 3 p.m., the extremities, the golden hours, the low transmutations, phantoms. You know they occur, and the atmospheric shift is palpable. But the seasons, the solstices, the equinoxes, all blend together below the pine thicket. Moving west on the golden hour, dividing youth from maturity, I observed working on the high plain east of the Rockies that the sun behaves like a pendulum in the sky. The range is the spine of America, north to south, head to foot. On the winter solstice, the sun rises latest at its furthest locale south and whips across the blue at its most rapid tempo. From then, marching north, the sun relaxing and stretching its legs more and more, commanding the seasons thereby. Next in the cosmic cascade is the spring equinox, the Ides of March, which as the pendulum swings represents true center of arc, equal minutes of light and dark. Next comes the summer solstice, the polar opposite, the orb rising farthest north, and the day being the longest. These are naked eye observations, to be clear. The summer solstice unfolds at the slowest tempo. Then the return of the repressed. The vernal equinox being halfway between heaven and hell. The arrival south once more, to begin marching north once more. Always keeping time, always orderly, always intentional. Therefore, the cosmic clock is quite easy, though, as is often the case, I am not sure that anyone else has thought of it. A pendulum, an analog pendulum, works with a weight. The higher the weight sits on the swinging bar, the faster the tempo. The number of minutes in 1 year is 525,600. So the higher the weight, the faster the tempo, the lower the weight, the slower. The easiest, most modern, most convenient method of perpetuation is an electric motor. However, someone very clever could figure out how to make the pendulum, say, hit a paddle, or some such the like, and generate the power necessary to ring the bell and wind the spring. Which is better? A closed system, the Ouroboros, as with creation, feeding upon itself forever. Atop the pendulum, the Venus bell, wound around the bar, a single spring with the weight suspended on the bottom of the spring. Each time a landmark in the sky dance arrives, the bell is struck. Every celestial landmark yields another strike of the bell. The clock is wound with the key, the cosmic key, and the bell is struck for the first time at the right time, 12:36 a.m., December 21st, and the pendulum is set in motion. Each subsequent celestial cairn increasing the number of bell songs, as in the spring 3 months later yields 2 rings, the summer solstice 3, the vernal equinox 4, the next winter solstice 5, etc. It is a physical meditation on life's latent harmony. Always in time to the monochord of Pythagoras, a mirror, as above so below, and lastly, perhaps most importantly, the synergetic synthesis of the pendulum, swaying in true alignment with God's heartbeat, crystallizes all matter around it, seizing all the noble necessary parts of chemistry together, and kicking out any malignancies polluting. On number. Pythagorean philosophy number dissects numbers by their fractional amounts, bifurcating the number line into 2 categories, but 3 in truth. Any number, with few exceptions, is defined as either superabundant or superdeficient. Example, take the number 10. Its fractional amounts are 1, 2, and 5. 10 over 1 is 10, 10 over 2 is 5, 10 over 5 is 2. Adding these together yields the number 8, and being lower than its origin, we define the number as superefficient. Next, take 24, whose fractional amounts are 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 8, and 12. 24 over 1 is 24, 24 over 2 is 12, 24 over 3 is 8, 24 over 4 is 6, 24 over 6 is 4, 24 over 8 is 3, 24 over 12 is 2. 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 6 plus 8 plus 12 equals 36, which is higher than its origin, and thereby superabundant. The number line is further subdivided. A quadrant of properties in total, all speaking and interacting with each other, into 2 sequences known as evenly even and oddly odd. Evenly even is a progression which can always be divided by 2 all the way back to 1, as thus 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, etc. Always reducible to singularity. Oddly odd emerges by subtracting squares. 1 squared is 1, 2 squared is 4, 4 minus 1 is 3. 2 squared is 4, 3 squared is 9, 9 minus 4 is 5. 3 squared is 9, 4 squared is 16, 16 minus 9 is 7. 4 squared is 16, 5 squared is 25, 25 minus 16 is 9, etc. The third category with fractions is the most sublime, the perfect number. We find perfect numbers by adding up evenly even sequence, always beginning at 1 and multiplying by the last number added, so long as the number arrived at is prime. Example, 1 plus 2 is 3, which is prime. 3 multiplied by 2 is 6, the only perfect number between 0 and 10. 1 plus 2 plus 4 equals 7, again, prime. 7 times 4 equals 28, the only perfect number between 10 and 100. And on it goes. Only one perfect number each factor. The fractional amounts of 28 are 1, 2, 4, 7, and 14. 28 over 1 is 28. 28 over 2 is 14. 28 over 4 is 7. 28 over 7 is 4. 28 over 14 is 2. 1 plus 2 plus 4 plus 7 plus 14 equals 28. Neither deficient nor abundant. Perfect. 6 is its own quandary. Simple enough. The fractional amounts are 1, 2, and 3. 6 over 1 is 6. Pardon me. 6 over 2 is 3. 6 over 3 is 2. 1 plus 2 plus 3 equals 6. 6 is also the sum of its factors. 1 multiplied by 2 multiplied by 3 also yields 6. A double perfection, deep mystery. Therefore, there can only be one perfect minute. As with all minutes, as with the textured double perfection of 6, it occurs twice a day. 12:36 is the only perfect minute. Hermetically sealed in numerical order. 1, 2, 3, 6. All 60 seconds within it, on equal footing, an absolute seal. A case can be made for a plethora of other magic minutes, for a plethora of esoteric reasons, but regarding natural law, 12:36 is the only eternal minute, and therefore by default the most magic. Number is its own eternity, and therefore every page of every book cannot contain a single grain of sand. The properties of number also being an eternal reservoir. The number of minutes in one day is 1,440, 1440. The number of degrees in the octahedron is 1,440, 1440. The diameter of the moon is 2,160 miles, 2160. One age in the precession of the equinox is 2,160 years, 2160. The number of degrees in the cube is 2,160, 2160. One quadrant of the celestial calendar is 6,480 years, 6480. The number of degrees in the dodecahedron is 6,480, 6480. 0 is not a number, it is absentia, pure void. 1 is the number of God, though 6 also. Singularity, completeness. It is the radial point of the circle. Forgive me. Two is dual, whose square is 4. Is the birth of multiplication and division, the mirror, the other. It is the line, expressed in 3 dimensions, as the internal vectors from the volumetric center of the octahedron. 2 is also the birth of 3. 2 arcs with a compass define an equilateral triangle. 3 square of 9, the equilateral triangle, Father, Son, and Holy Ghost, creator, creation, creature. Surely associated with quantum mechanics, the problem with measurement. An experience unfolds over time from A to B, but only by C's observations are the results changed. Walking the compass along the circle gives an equilateral triangle connecting every other point. 4 square of 16, Earth foundation, the simplest of the platonic solids, tetrahedron, element of fire, earth and fire. A vertical line cast across the eternity of the page is closed within a circle, dividing first into 6, then subdividing the 4 points on either side of the line yields 4 perpendicular, which closes the circle perfectly in a square, polygon of square. 5. Square of 25, polygon, pentagon, lawful construction, magic of collapse and expanse, Sator repo tenet opera rotas, associated with the dodecahedron, whose faces are pentagonal. All plants with edible fruits have flowers with 5 petals, strongly connected to the golden mean. The diagonal of the pentagon is in golden mean proportion to the side length, therefore also associated with the cube, as the cube fits inside the dodecahedron along the diagonals. A compound of 5 cubes gives 12 pentagrams across the faces of the dodecahedron. A subdivision of 5 is tedious with a compass. The circle must be divided into fourths, first into half, then halved once more. A circle of 1/2 area is cast in the half circle, touching the radial line and circumference tangentially. A line is drawn from the radial line dividing the circle, where it touches the circumference, through the radial point to the smaller circle until it touches the circumference of the smaller circle on the far side. An arc is cast from the radial line to where the vector through the smaller circle touches its circumference, and then a second arc is cast from the same point, running tangential to the bottom of the smaller circle. This divides the circle into 5. Doing it on both points of the diametrical line of the first circle yields 10. 6. Square of 36, polygon, hexagon, lawful construction, magic constant, only perfect number between 0 and 10. Its perfection is sealed temporally in the perfect minute of 1236, as well as being the natural subdivision of the circle with its radius. The cube is its solid, being square faces. The cube root, crossing through the volume of the cube from a top corner through the volumetric center to the opposite bottom corner, is the angle of the human heart rest in the chest. Associated with creation, manifestation, work, expression, divinity. 7. Square of 49, polygon, heptagon, unlawful construction, so they say, is the number of the world's soul. 1 times 2 times 3 times 4 times 5 times 6 times 7 is the same number as 7 times 8 times 9 times 10, both equal 5040, 5040. Therefore associated also with 9, 5 plus 4 equals 9. The distance from the center of the Earth to the center of the Moon, with each square tangential, is 5,040 miles, 5040. In this formation we square the circle, the square enclosing the Earth being equal area to the circle whose radius runs from the center of the Earth to the center of the Moon. The triangle formed from the equator of the Earth to the radial point of the Moon defines the Great Pyramid. 8. Square of 64, polygon, octagon, lawful construction, is the first cube, 2 cubed. Drawing a straight line, vertical and horizontal, crossing with the intersection being the radial point, divided the circle into 4, and subdividing each point divides into 8. 9. Square of 8. Square of 81. Polygon, nonagon, unlawful construction. The final number in base 10. Vortex mathematics divides the circle into 9, and connected with 9 at the top of the circle, and 1 going clockwise from there, 1, 2, 4, 8, 7, 5, never joining 3, 6, or 9. 55 also takes unique significance. 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 plus 6 plus 7 plus 8 plus 9 plus 10 equals 55. The 10th number of the Fibonacci also equals 55. 1, 8, 2, 3. 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, 21, 34, 55, pardon me. 5 plus 5 equals 10. 1 plus 0 equals 1. So there at the 10th conjunction, both times 55, which is 1, emerges. A collapse to singularity through expanse. The all is in the thing. And so I'll stop there for now. That's the beginning. That's the end of the prologue. And I lost the plot there for a second, but I have a very complicated relationship. Okay. On magic, on time, on number. Right? I feel like some of the sentences are clunky. Right? It's all there. I understand it all, but when I read it, it's maybe a little wordy. Definitely needs to be gone through again. It's lacking. In truth, there's 5 of these essays that need to occur before the novel begins, right? And the 4th one is on geometry, and the 5th one is on language, right? But that represents, let's see, 24 pages. Does a double-spaced manuscript. You know, so a lot of material. On numbers, definitely lacking. On geometry, we'll add, 1,000, not 1,000, but another 100 pages, pardon me, at least another 100 pages. You know, some 6,000 words, probably. 8,000 words. And so, yeah, that's the work, definitely. Like, that's when it's like, okay, you know, like, clock punching in, you know, like, I gotta fucking write all these words, you know. Like, writing is twofold, right? It's the rhapsody, it's the magic, and then it's the work, you know. And so now I'm in the work of it, right? That I had, boom, you know, like I had this wild, you know, mystical fervor that I was subjected to, that I'm still subjected to, you know. And so I'm processing it, you know, by writing it, by talking about it. And again, he'll always lie, you know. Everyone can say that I'm schizophrenic, you know, but I have his autograph. You know, it's not bullshit. It's not bullshit at all, you know. And hopefully, you know, I'd like to hope he's calming down, you know. I'd like to hope that, you know, it's hard to know. It's hard to know. And I'll be honest, I got some benzos from... And now I'm getting criticisms for saying that. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And my point is that maybe I'm drugged, right? That's like, right? That's why I don't feel their torture, right? But I want to believe that, right? That it's time to, right? Move on, right? Come together and move on. No more. Right? What do these pages have to do with the movie Critic? You might be asking yourself. That's a fair question. That's a fair question. On perhaps December the 3rd, January the 3rd, pardon me, right? I bought this thing, right? My mother gave me a smaller one for Christmas, right? And then said, oh, I went and bought this, right? Which is a nice big industrial compass. I said, okay, you know, I see. After New Year's Eve was just fucked up, you know, just like, I said, okay, I get it. It's a game, you know? And so, right, the game is, we're finding you with our mind, right? Right? My point is that I'm going to take some time now, before I answer that question, to show you this board that I've put together. Right? Ezekiel's wheel, right? Which is cool, man. I mentioned this in the first letters I made. Where is it? I did this thing totally backwards. Here. Look at this. First of all, I wrote it backwards. It's right to left. It's not, you know. Should have went this way. You know. I left because that's the first one. Anyway. AL on the same wedge, right? Right? Al-Kami, El Shaddai, right? The divine prefix, right? Not in any of the books, right? Right? But I said, okay, we're finding each other with our minds. That's the game that we're playing. God damn it! I spent so much time. 1 second. 1 second. I don't know what the fuck happened to all these push pins. That's funny. That's funny. If I knew the way, I would take you home. So if you recall, right? Right? I'm going to read from the novel, we'll talk about the novel. Right? Okay. Again, right? Finding people with our minds. Right? So, I set the task. Right? And so, if you watch the first video at all, these two drawings are also in it. Right? But these are examples as I was explaining my worldview, right? Okay? And so this is a subdivision of 18, right? Where every relationship between each 9-sided polygon, so it skips one, right? Is in here, right? So there's every relationship between each one, right? Interlaced, stacked on top of each other, right? This is the icosahedron, right? The dodecahedron inside of it, right? Each of the diagonals, right? This is a square right here. To find the edge of a cube, there's 5 cubes inside of here as well, right? So 5 cubes offer 5 pentagrams occupying the area inside of each of the pentagonal faces, right? Over here on the far right, right? This is what is this? 7 ellipses, right? With 5, right? Golden mean spirals, pentagonal subdivisions of each ellipse, right? And so each time the band goes up and over, right? It skips one and goes to the next one, right? And so now this one is going to go, where does it go? Yeah, here it is. Up to here, to this one, right? And then this one's going to go all the way across to that one, right? And so there's 5 of them, right? And so if you have a subdivision of 5, right? And you skip 2, and then draw a line, right? It goes one way. And if you skip 3, it goes another way. Of course you could skip 1, right? Right? But my point is that, right? Below this is a wonderful form from John Michel, called the New Jerusalem. Right? So the circle, the primary circle, is divided into 28, right? 28 subdivisions. There's a square that goes around this circle, right? And so each of these squares is used as the base of a triangle, right? And the distance from the midpoint of the square, which touches the circle, to where the triangle penetrates into the main circle, right, is 1/7 of the diameter, right? 4 sides of the square, right? 28 subdivisions, right? And so there's 3 squares in the middle, right? And then there's also these 12 circles, right? Right? And that's in the Bible, somewhere, Revelation or Ezekiel, about the new temple. Right? 3 on each side, right? That's definitely in there somewhere, right? Here, we have a compound of 16 equilateral triangles, right? So this circle is subdivided into 48, right? And then, of course, you walk all the way around it and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right? All the way to 16, right? And then you start over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? You get it? Okay. Underneath here, right? This is a real jewel, right? This is 88 subdivisions of the circle, right? And so this is 11 pointed stars. Right? I don't know what you would even call those. Some graceful name, I'm sure, right? But this, right? Sick, right? And so, of course, over here, right? Self-portrait, right? It's hard to see it under here, right? But I cast another arc from my nose, right? Over the top. And I put the symbols of the celestial conditions overhead. Right? Okay, so these are all, right? Life has an intellectual origin, right? Are you keeping up? Right? Embedded within every cubic centimeter of space, right, in terms of information, right, is the seed of all creation, right? And it's through the pressure of the conscious field, right, exerting a force upon that static knowing, right, that engenders an electrical condition to emerge within creation, right? So these are all meditations, aren't they? Right? That when you look at these, right? Right? I mean, really look at them, you know? You can close your eyes, right? And you can conjure them in your mind, right? You can see them in your mind's eye, right? And with other forms, you know, you can see them move even, you know? The imagination can compel any of these to move, of course. However, right? My point is that, at least with the vector equilibrium, it breathes, you know, it does move. Okay. So, I built my first board on roughly January the 2nd of this year. Man, it was a taste of that. That's the highest level, right? Right there. No bullshit. Right? I had a bunch of awful shit on that board. Right? To poison his mind, and I succeeded. Right? I thought I was poisoning, right, a fucking bitch's mind, right? But of course, right, some joke got me good, you know? Very funny. Right? But the damage is done to him as well, right? Right? That he can, right? He can put on his monkey suit, right? He can be as charming as he always is, right? Right? But when the camera's off, right? Right? And so now, you know, as soon as he admitted that he has no daughter, that's all bullshit, right? That he's been playing a sick game on me, right? For 6 months, right? After me, giving him a taste, giving him a real taste, right? For maybe 2 weeks. He had to tell me 3 times. Right? Because I didn't believe him. And he kept, this is his game. This is his game. Oh gosh, it's so much. Bang. Right? So, right? He tells me there's no daughter. Right? That's all bullshit. Right? Because if we go to the next level, right? We get something like this, don't we? Who's that? Right? Former CEO of William Morris Endeavor. The CEO when this whole debacle was going down. I don't think he is anymore. Something Shapiro now, right? Ari Emanuel, right? I would say that's a pretty savage sigil right there, right? That this is, right? This is Solomon's key right here, right? Right? So this is this circle in particular, right, is subdivided into 51. So it's 17 equilateral triangles, right? Which is more magic. This is more powerful one than the set of 16, for sure. Right? With the ineffable running down it, right? What is that? Collapsing, right? Pentagrams over his eye, right? Right? So we said that these are meditations, right? That you can look at these, right? And I mean fucking look at them, right? Till you go into a trance, right? And then, when you're still in your mind, right? You can conjure them. Because though, right? It's an expression of man. It is also an expression of some part of a divine form. That's the point. Right? So, right? These are the archetypes, right? Like, that allow complex molecular structure, complex cellular structure to emerge around it, right? Like this is your celestial skeleton, right? That embeds as a perfect hologram in every cubic centimeter of space, right? So dense, right? It must be acted upon by an outside force to corrupt itself and mutate into manifested reality, right? Yes, this is the point, right? So you stare at these right here, right? And you unlock, right, the mystery, right, of how the hologram is comprised. This is the point, right? The field permeates every cubic centimeter of space, right? And so if you put somebody's face in the middle of it, right? Knowing this guy lives in LA, right? Right? Someone says it's profane for me to make this video. Right? I say, take it up with your master. I have none. Right? So I have the right to say it. I'm living it. I have the right to say it. Right? So, have I wielded this in any sort of way? I took it to mass. Right? I took it to mass a couple times, stared at it the whole time. Someone wanted to look at it. I said, no, they wouldn't understand, Right? On the other side, Sarah Staudinger, his wife, right? Subdivision of 42, right? I wanted her in a different one. They had Malachi. Some real kick you in the balls, bust your balls about divorce type scripture. But it was too dense. I couldn't put her face over it. And of course, this is a mystical, right? 4 + 2 is 6. You're a real motherfucker, you know that? Sorry, I have a little cat, and I have another cat that can't get around so good, It's like a special needs cat, He's just kind of shuffles. And the other one's really small, and so she's just like bullying him because she doesn't know any better, Okay, right? So, this is a celestial scaffolding, right? This is a subspatial, subatomic scaffolding, right? This is a piece of the hologram, right? This is the supposition, right? Which embeds in all of space, right? This man is a personal entity upon the earth, right? He is existing at a point in space and time in the earth right now, right? Right? So when you embed the hologram, right, in tandem, right, and then you push that, right, or you meditate, you look in for that, right, the mind will reveal, right, the mind will give you where they are. It will show you what they are doing. This is the game. That's the game. Can anyone just do it? No, of course not. No free lunches, right? This is a very extremely difficult discipline to understand and wield, right, properly. You have to have the most subtle inferences, the most subtle understandings of the mind. And you also have to accept that often your imagination is poisoning your mind, right? That this is the game, right? That it's there, right? That there's a connection. The consciousness is everywhere. A conscious field permeates every cubic centimeter of space, right? And since you operate a small filter, a small step-down valve that is your brain of that divine connective thing, right? Then you can find people, places, times, locations, objects, right? Right? Heal the sick, assassinate from 4,000 miles away without ever doing anything. Yes, this is the power. These are the stakes, right? And so it's one thing for Quentin to hate me, right? Right? But now, right now, it's time to talk about it. You know? It's time to talk about it. It's good. It's good. It's fine. It's fine. You know? Right? I don't need it. I blew it. You take that movie. Right? And I sued because that's what he told me to do. Right? Right? And so it's so far gone now, right? That he has succeeded. He's succeeded in some way. Yeah. He's destroyed my mind in some way. I'd like to think that I'm wearing it well. But I'll question my every thought forever. So. Right? What does the perfect minute have to do with Quentin Tarantino? I revealed myself in full with the board, right? My cat's giving me. What are you biting? On the perfect minute on January 3rd. Right? Because I'm not a dumbass. That's when you do it. Right? And so, here, who's that? There's another one, isn't it? Right? What's that? The triple hay? And I'll say, being critical, right? I tried to put together my own Shimham Farash and got tortured very egregiously while doing it. But I got all the way through it, and I missed a letter somewhere along the way, and it was really upsetting, and so I haven't tried again. But I don't think that this is accurate. I don't think that there is a triple A in the actual Shimham Farash. That someone's profaned something, probably not intentionally, they're just dumb. And that was like the most convenient. I said, oh, okay, boom, there it is, 72 angelic triads, 9x8. Anyway. But assuming you had a correct one, right? It could just be the same one over and over, right? You meditate on this, right? Mike Simpson, right? What's that on the top of his head? Lamed Mim, Lamed Resh, Molach. Okay. Right? This is how you find people, right? Like this is... Right? Tell me I'm wrong. No one can, right? So... Right? Sam Jackson, right? Same thing. Ezekiel 25:17 around it, right? The path of the righteous, etc., etc. Right? Right? And so, I descended into sorcery for 2 weeks. Never doing any of the things that he's done to me, but he stole them from my mind. Of course, right? I know what time it is, right? 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 That this is not a fucking child's game. Right? So we're coming clean. We're talking about it. Right? And there's nothing that I can do about it. Right? I could go out in the woods. Right? I could spend $40. Right? I mean, I got paid. My bullshit jobs. Right? $50. Go camping. Right? It's easy. It's easy to be evil. Right? Right? He's, it's all a game to him. It's all a joke to him. Right? But very funny. Very funny. You got me. You got me. You wanted me to put a gun in my mouth. Got me good. Right? There's no other way to interpret it. Right? If he's being honest with himself, this is the point, right? Like, if he's being honest with himself, he has no choice but to agree with me, right? It's a logical, atomic bomb, right? To engender such a psychological condition that you expect to persist for 20 years, right? And so this is why, right? This is why we're getting to that point where it's just evil. There's nothing healthy about what he's doing to me. It's very dangerous. And I have a sophisticated mind, right? I can, right? Right? In my first videos, I said it. That I'll destroy anybody. Right? It's easy. It's easy. But rather than do that, right? Rather than risk him, right, in his desperation, right, as his world's crumbling around him, we'll pay someone nothing. I'll pay him nothing, and they'll come to my house, and they'll kill everyone that I'm near, and me, of course. Probably torture me, tie me up, right? Pulp Fiction, right? He knows I wouldn't make it easy. But we're going to talk about it, right? But I will say, and I filed suit. I read the fucking shit yesterday. It's all there. It's all there. There's no optical view where they go all the way through a trial, knowing the people that I can subpoena. It's just stupid. And of course, they're gonna settle, right? They don't look like anything other than Hollywood elite assholes, right? And if they believe me, right? And you said, you see it, like check my credentials right now, right? This is the game, right? Okay, right? I gotta cite the books I have, right? They're fucking, right? They're numerous in number, right? Right? So rather than keep going, right? Rather than start to build apparatus, rather than buy my own hypodermic needles and really descend to his vulgar evil, and he'll always deny it. He might admit that he went too far or something to that effect, but And he knows my mind's getting very sophisticated. It's like, it's all that valve is all the way open. This is God saying, no, you gotta just fucking open up the door completely, and really just make them understand, right? That this is, right? That I'm right where you want me, right? And I suspect he's reaching his breaking point, right? Because it's, it's everything that I said in my letter to Ari Emanuel 3 fucking months ago, right? Right before that April Fool's joke. Why do you think he said he sold it to Netflix on April Fool's, right? Because he was hoping I'd blow my brains out. And then he could say, haha, I got ya, to the public. Steal my scene for free. Never say anything about me. Right? Let my family believe, right, that I died completely insane. Right? Sick. Dangerous black magic. Right? Prove me wrong. Right? So, game's over. We're pulling our cards. You, me, and the devil makes 3. Right? I'm going to talk about it every day. That suit should arrive hopefully on Tuesday. And it'll probably be another fucking, however many days. Who knows? Who fucking knows? Another 8 days, 9 days. But I'm tired. He's tired. I know he's tired. We have to come together. It's just, and we don't. We don't. I get it. Yep, made your point. You're a famous guy. Right? You decide when the public sees you. Right? But seeing as how you fucked with me real bad when you were at Cannes some weeks ago, I had no choice but to stay on you. I have to know everywhere you're speaking exactly what time of day it is and wherever it is. Right? Right? Have I wielded any of these? Right? Olivia Wilde? Right? In any sort of professional capacity? No, of course not. Ari, right? His wife, right? Right? As it's mentioned in the video, you find these people, right? You can plague their mind with anything, right? As it's mentioned in the first pages of my novel, you can use their memories as elementals for sorcery. You can conjure the voices, right, of their memories, right? This is all, right? But this is the game, right? This is the game, right? Right? And so now I suppose I'm getting to the point where I should sing a song and recite some Shakespeare and wish you all well. Don't wanna be an actor pretending on the stage. Don't wanna be a writer with my thoughts out on the page. Don't wanna be a painter, 'cause everyone comes to look. Don't wanna be anything where my life's an open book. A dream, it's true, but I'd see it through. If I could be wasted my time with you. Don't wanna be a farmer working walking in the sun. Don't wanna be an outlaw, always on the run. Don't wanna be a climber, reaching for the top. Don't wanna be anything where my life's and don't know how to stop. A dream, it's true, but I'd see through. If I could be wasting my time with you. So if I'm inside your head, don't believe what you might have read. You'll see what I might have said to hear it. Can't waste your time with me. Can't waste your time with me. Maybe I flubbed it just a little bit, but you'll forgive me. So, like, comment, subscribe, share. Forgive my cat interruptions. Every day I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to read from the novel. Right? Until it's resolved amicably. Happy 4th of July. Right? Hope the Tarantino family appreciates what's good in their lives. Right? That's what I've been taken to do of late, is to remind him what's good in his life. When he poisons my mind and body. Right? And he'll always deny. Right? But we'll get more into that as the weeks progress. I said I would always recite Shakespeare. I don't really know what to say now. What to say? Sean Connery does Shakespeare. I know what to do. Look here. Upon this picture, and on this, the counterfeit presentment of two brothers. See, what a grace was seated on this brow. Hyperion's curls, the front of Jove himself, an eye like Mars to threaten or command, a station like the herald Mercury, new lighted on a heaven-kissing hill. A combination and a form indeed, where every god did seem to set his seal, to give the world assurance of a man. This was your husband. Look you now what follows. Here is your husband. Like a mildewed ear blasting his wholesome brother. Have you eyes? Could you on this fair mountain leave to feed and batten on this moor? Huh? Have you eyes? You cannot call it love, for at your age the heyday in the blood is tame, it's humble, and waits upon the judgment. And what judgment would step from this to this? Since sure you have, else could you not have motion. But sure that sense is apoplexed, for madness would not err, nor sense to ecstasy was ne'er so thralled, but it reserved some quantity of choice to serve in such a difference. What devil was't that thus hath cozened you at hoodman blind? Eyes without feeling, feeling without sight, ears without hands or eyes, smelling sans all, or but a sickly part of one true sense could not so mope. Oh, shame! Where is thy blush? Rebellious hell, if thou canst mutiny in a matron's bones, to flaming youth let virtue be as wax and melt in her own fire. Proclaim no shame when the compulsive ardor gives the charge, since frost itself as actively doth burn, and reason panders will.